Alright, hello everyone, I'm Buddy. I'm gonna be your guys' commentary through this video. I'm just gonna be describing what's going on, and my first time doing this, so let's see how it goes. So here we are, just putting the boat in and gonna get it ready to repower it with some Mercury 150s. These Honda 135s, they didn't do so well, so the customer was kind of tired of dealing with them because they weren't very reliable. So as you can see, I'm undoing the controls and engine mounts here. I like to be a bit thorough on labeling this and try and take these motors off as smooth as I can in case they want to sell it, resell for parts, or you know, it's not good to just rip and tear things apart. Once the first motor was off, the second one was ready to roll, so just hooked up the forklift and essentially did the same thing. Undid the bolts, steering, controls, made sure nothing else was coming off, and yeah, both of these got put on a pallet. Next, went and began removing the controls. Honda's got a huge hole, as you can see, for the top mount here in the video. It's nice to take things apart slowly again because these control cables can be used to pull the new ones in, kind of as one-shot deal. Then I removed the gauges here and disconnected the wires. Then we moved on to just pulling the new cables in because this job was kind of under a little bit of pressure because there was a deadline. So here I am back and forth pulling these cables. It's easier if you have two people, but everyone else was busy, so I had to just pull it out one by one. New cables attached to the old. Here I am just prepping the transom for the new engines. Got to pound the old bolts through. It's not good to just Sikaflex and bolt the motors on, but once we get the bolts out, I like to clean off all the Sikaflex with a little air Dremel, being careful not to damage the fiberglass, and then I bevel the hole with a small taper. Helps create a seal with the Sikaflex that goes on there, and then wipe everything down with a rag that has brake cleaner or acetone on it. Now we're unboxing the first engine, which will be the port engine. It's a counter rotator. Just being careful not to scratch the hood, set it somewhere safe. We put the lifting eye on. One thing I like about Mercs is you can just lift them by the flywheel without extra strapping. Remove the wood crate. Now I'm getting this bracket off for transport, and then gonna put the steering on. The steering rams that are on there, or going on there, are U-Flex steering rams. I've said before in some other videos that U-Flex is the way to go. You can tell they're U-Flex by their blue seals, and the rams never leak. I've never had one fail in my entire career of doing this. Make sure when you put new parts on, you use some sort of grease or lano coat to stop these fasteners and hardware from seizing up, especially if you're in the salt water. As you can see, that's what I did there. We're test fitting these, so I measured the height based on the holes that the Honda was mounted at, but because this is a Merc, I just want to confirm that the holes that will be going on are going to be the right height for the capitation plate lining up with the bottom of the boat. the looks of it is. So went upstairs, grabbed the Sikaflex, and then here I am unbolting it. Tech's there assisting in backing it up and just moving it enough for us to put the Sikaflex on there. There was also a plate that needed to be drilled for the transom due to the old bolts that were going through. They ended up causing a little bit of an indent because there should have been a stiffener plate on in the beginning, but there wasn't. So both motors ended up getting transom plates for the bolts. Second motor here is getting uncrated. And then same process, gonna lift it up, gonna remove the crate. It's nice that Mercury uses wood crates because we like to create heat with those things if they don't end up getting used. Here we are again. Well, here I am again putting the steering ram on there. Once that's on, essentially we already know what height we're going to be at, and yeah, we'll just bolt it on with the Sikaflex and away she goes. These transom bolts get torqued to spec just because lots of people like to just tighten them up as much as they can, but they might not be tightening them up enough, or they might be over tightening, causing the fiberglass to crack as well. Once he's done that, backs off, and then I needed to relocate the rigging tubes and steering lines because the old Hondas didn't have any rigging tubes, and I wanted to put rigging tubes on to protect the longevity of the hardware running through the splash well. These motors needed some flanges made because the holes were so big already in the side of the splash well that required a little bit of fabrication. Not a big deal, but here I am running a new fuel line, making sure everything goes in, rigging tube is on, and cables are going through. Bit of a challenge though because there's a fuel valve on either side, so make sure you thread that plastic piece on first, because if you forget, it ends up becoming a lot of work. Steering lines ended up going through a little 2-inch boot on either side. There's the new gauges. Super easy, literally just tighten the big plastic nut, put on the bezel, and put the screws in. I had pre-made that ignition plate and drilled it. Didn't show you guys, but just a flat piece of 1/8. Super nice for those ignitions. Safety switch. And here I am putting the cover on the fuel tank and getting ready to run the wiring for the gauges and engine harnesses going to the ignitions and for the control box. This took a bit of time because there wasn't very much space in there, so I had to essentially drill another hole to run those cables in, or sorry, the harnesses for the gauges, and then there's 2 bus bars that need to be mounted to separate the gauges for each engine, being that this was mechanical controls. So it's getting plugged in now. Getting the ignitions plugged in. Making sure to wrap everything with red tape beforehand so you know which side port is. I had made this plate. It's made of 1/4-inch aluminum. It's for the new top mount binnacle. Already pre-drilled just to save some time, but the old Honda controls ended up having a bigger hole, so I had to make this plate to cover up the old hole and cut it to fit the new one, if that makes sense. It was just a piece of aluminum, so primed and painted it black. And here I am connecting the controls to the cables. Another thing I like to do is pre-lube the cables with either ATF or engine oil. You just hang them up, put a 3/8 hose on the tops and let them drape down and fill the hoses with oil until it comes out of the bottom. Helps with the longevity and smoothness of these mechanical cables. I like to put Lano coat on all my screws because you never know if you'll be the next guy working on them or taking them out. You just never have a problem with them once they get that stuff on there. See, it took a bit of adjusting to get this control box to fit, just because it's underneath is pretty tight. Last but not least, you get the nice bezel with the 2 trim switches. Once that gets secured and screwed down, move on to the wiring. Here I am just securing everything since it's mostly been plugged in. Makes it nice and easy to tidy the place up. Wiring is one of those things that takes time to do nice and neat, and a lot of patience too, trying to do a good job. A lot of zip ties. Those are the neutral safety switches, the yellow and the red wires. I am mounted the trim relay harness. And then that is the emergency stop switch junction box. And there we go, nice and tidy, cutting zip ties, removing all the old ones, cleaning up the mess, and there you go, nice and clean. Except for that part, that wasn't me. Alright, so now we're hooking up the control cables for the engines. Chose starboard because it was easier to get to start with. Made the adjustment. Now we're doing port, which is pretty much adjusting the cables. Making sure everything is nice and tidy. Now we're going to do the steering system on either side. So hooking up the steering lines. Had to do that just because you can't steer without those things hooked up. So do port first, and then I'll go to starboard side. Thankfully on this one, the steering lines are just long enough on one side. I wish they both had gone towards the middle, but unfortunately the starboard side wasn't long enough, so I had to lay them both the same way. Doesn't look too bad, but symmetrically I like to kind of keep things looking almost exactly the same. Here I am hooking the power purger up, bleeding the air out of the lines. This one was a bit of a challenge because it's got a liquid tie bar. Had to bleed one side, but due to the system not being hooked up exactly how I wanted, it made it a challenge to bleed the port motor. Greasing the prop, brand new inertia props on there. New hubs. If you know these props, you know they're good. Torquing them to spec. And here we are doing the first start on these things. What I like about this shop is it's got a portable test tank, so I don't have to like pull the boat out just to run these things. So got her in there. Like to squeeze. Oh, check the oil. Always check your oil, no matter what, before you start motor every time. And double dip it. As you saw, I pulled it once, wiped it, pulled it twice. Now I'm priming the fuel system. And here we go. Love that when it starts up. Pumping water. You know that's good. I'll do a shift check, forward, do reverse just to make sure that you got the control cable adjusted properly and there's no chattering of the watchdog inside. Give it a little throttle rev. Make sure it's got good response. And I like to turn it off and then turn it back on just to make sure it starts up right away. Once that's done, make sure you let her drip for a second. And then I'll move on to the next one. Heck yeah, do the same thing. On the system, I'm gonna come back down and check the oil, just because I'm probably a little tired. Should have did that first, but double dip. And that looks good. Boom, first start. Pumping water, so that's good. Do a shift check. A little throttle blip and that'll be it. Alright, an exciting part. Pulling the boat out just so we can take it for its first sea trial. Here we are, getting ready. Already launched the boat. You guys don't see how many times we got back down the ramp, so we just kind of started it here. Tech's just throwing in the ropes. Gotta have those bumpers in, people. And yeah, all in all, I thought it was a pretty good job. Got those nice new controls, new gauges. Mainly what we're looking for on the sea trial is to see if any codes show up and test the maneuverability of the boat, make sure the engines are at the right height and that they don't rev up due to ventilation of the propeller. Check for kinking, check for any issues with fuel system. And once that's done, boat ends up going back to the shop, getting washed, wipe the motors down, and wait for the customer to pick it up. Hope you guys liked this video. If you're new to the channel, check out some of the other ones. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe. For now, until next time, get back out there.